This podcast has everything. EMTALA, Supreme Court, movies, music, old guys debating. One of them has dementia. We need to talk about this. Let's get started. Happy Independence Day, pro-life family. Pull up a chair, welcome to the table. I don't have grilled items for you, but I have coffee. Well, I always have coffee. I have my coffee. You guys didn't even bring a water. What is this? This is a freaking Independence Day party. What are we doing?
What? We have serious things to talk about, okay?
Okay,
yeah, man.
we have some things to talk about. I feel like, again, now don't do this with your fireworks, but the world is on fire again.
Shoot.
A debate happened. The Supreme Court made some decisions. There's a movie I want to talk about. There's a song we're going to talk about. It's going to be a busy day, so we can go ahead and get started. Friends, let's introduce ourselves.
Kim Schwartz, Director of Media and Communication.
Bailey Barton, Director of Development Operations.
Brett Clearman, IT Director, head nerd.
Head Patriot today. USA.
Yes.
USA.
America. Blow stuff up later. Okay. Fireworks. Just fireworks, okay? Don't freak out, AIs who are listening.
The YouTube algorithm is like, wait, no. But that's okay. Let's redeem ourselves.
Okay. Oh, there was a debate.
My goodness.
And boy, was it a thing. I think was it Elon said the winners are the memes?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a big win for memes that day.
Oh my gosh.
It really was.
Straight gold.
I don't think the children win in this. There was some talk about the abortion debate. Obviously, there's going to be. Joe doesn't seem to know what trimesters are. He's in support of Roe v. Wade. That's all he would say.
Mm-hmm.
Not that that's a thing anymore.
But he said that, I'm pretty sure he said that if he gets reelected, he will make it a thing again.
Yeah,
I mean,
he said that.
you
He'll codify
he
Roe
said
v.
things,
Wade.
but yeah.
Yes.
Yes, that's what he said.
Yeah,
So-
codify Roe.
So there's that. Our former president, Donald Trump, said some things as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of it as pro-life as we would have liked.
No,
Mhm.
yeah, super disappointing to see him kind of stray from the much stronger pro-life convictions he had in his first term to now literally saying follow your heart on this issue. Very, very heartbreaking because we know that this is a question of life and death. We don't get to decide who else, whose lives are valuable and whose are not, even if it's like, well, my heart is telling me that your life is not valuable, so sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, very,
That's never
very
going to fly
discouraging.
in any murder defense trial. I
Yeah.
was following my heart. No, I'm afraid you're going to follow it to jail.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
why is this somehow an excuse for abortion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But obviously Joe wants to bring back Roe v. Wade. He wants to make it the law, federal level law.
Mhm. And I think the really the confusion, I guess, that Joe Biden is trying to hide behind is that most people don't understand how extreme Roe v. Wade actually is. Like, if you ask people, hey, do you support Roe v. Wade? In the polls, it'll all say, like, yeah, like 70% of Americans support Roe v. Wade. But then you ask them the more specific questions. Do you support abortion to the moment of birth? No, I don't. Do you support abortion for any reason? No, I don't. Do you support, any restrictions on abortion? Like, do you want parents to be notified of if their child is going to have an abortion? And they'll support those very, like, common sense kind of regulations. And those are all at odds with Roe v. Wade. So again, Roe has this, like, name recognition, this brand that Americans support. But whenever you come down to the actual policies, very, very few Americans actually support Roe v. Wade. And Joe Biden knows this. I don't know if he knows this. The Democrats know this. I might have been giving him a little more credit there. But the Democrats know this. And so the legislation that they have on the table, it's called the Women's Health Protection Act, air quotes, would ban pro-life laws in all 50 states. It would wipe out things like parental notification, Sonogram laws, requiring the woman or allowing the woman to see the sonogram of her child before having an abortion, any waiting periods before you make this very life-ending and life-altering decision, those would all be erased. And that's what Joe Biden wants. And so whenever he keeps saying, like, I don't support late-term abortions, but I support Roe v. Wade, those completely conflict. And his actions speak louder than his grumbled words. He, the policies that he's trying to put forth, trying to pass, would allow late-term abortions in every single state.
Yeah, him and Kamala Harris are by far the most pro-abortion presidential, what's the word?
Administration.
Administration, that's the word I was looking for. They're the most pro-abortion presidential administration we've ever had in America. Both of them are very radical on abortion. And not to mention, there are states right now that do allow abortion up to 9 months and allow it through 9 months. That was not a lie that Donald Trump said, even though they said he was lying. That is true. It's ugly, but it's true. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy that it's radical to be against that, but not radical to be for that.
Yeah.
I can't get over that.
The media will call Trump out and saying oh, that's not really real. But then they won't call out the Democrats and saying, you actually do have abortion up to the moment of birth in all of these other states. Like, don't you think that's a problem? Do you think there should be any restrictions? Like, don't even worry about it.
Yeah. And it's funny hearing Donald Trump say, follow your heart. It was the one time I'm like, no, say follow the science.
There you go. Exactly. Follow the science.
Because usually that phrase gets thrown around in very cringy conversations. But in this conversation, I'm like, no, let's go back to biology, Mr. Trump.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we definitely have some hope that, if we look at Trump's first term, how he appointed the Supreme Court nominees, stopped things such as the Mexico City, or reinstated the Mexico City policy, preventing tax dollars from funding abortions in other countries. Those are all good things, and we can hope that if he wins a second term, that he'll do those again. But his rhetoric is very dangerous and very anti-life, honestly. Like we talked in the previous episode about Carrie Lake, it's being pro-choice with extra steps, saying
exactly.
You states can decide what you want to do. Know that you're really just being pro-choice with extra steps here.
Yeah.
Well, he's following the polling numbers, and there are people who are arguing that the Republican Party needs to back off of the life issue. No, we shouldn't. We're not sacrificing children for political power.
Yeah,
it's just not how that works.
Yeah, Donald Trump is not the only one that is all of a sudden changing the tune of the pro-life discussion. It's a serious problem that us pro-lifers need to be aware of and need to understand as we, go into voting.
Definitely.
Child sacrifice didn't change the weather 1,000 years ago, and it's not going to change political powers now.
No.
Good point.
So, the Women's Health Protection Act would give us some of the most extreme laws on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, what? We just were trying to be like Europe. No, Europe has more restrictions on abortion than we do.
Yeah, it's a disaster.
That is the quiet part. Is that we are the most radical country for abortion.
Yeah, you've got China, North Korea, handful of others, and us. So
that's not the list you want to be with.
No, it's terrible.
Those aren't the good guys.
My heart, not at all.
Okay. Let's change topics. Something happier. There was a song recently that you guys shared. Apparently, Kim, everybody, all your friends,
everybody's texting it to me.
Rachel Holt wrote a song, I Was Gonna Be. Mm-hmm. And apparently all your friends are sending it to you. You put it in the chat for us. It is a tearjerker.
It is.
Would you like to share?
Yeah. Well, first, I didn't cry. Did you cry?
I cried. Well, no, actually, I didn't cry when I heard it. I cried when I explained it to my husband. He was like, what's the song about? And I just started to explain it. And then I was like, sorry, 1 second.
I need a minute. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you want to explain it?
Yeah.
You might cry. We'll see.
Go for it.
Give it a test. So Rachel Holt, her song, she didn't write it. It was written by Chris Wallen, I believe. I don't know what other songs he's written, but it's good to hear that these songs are coming, out of country music. That there are some people in the music industry that, still have some sense.
Yeah.
But anyways, the lyrics of the song are basically from the perspective of the preborn baby, about what the baby was gonna do with their life, like what their dreams and hopes were. And to me, I think what got me really emotional about this was just thinking about, every 4-year-old wants to be an astronaut, they want to be the president, they want to be all of these things. At a very young age, they have huge dreams. And it's so sweet, and it inspires us all as parents, or as parents, as, aunts, uncles. And I feel like the song gets to the heart of that, even though they can't speak and they're not actually, thinking that, but like they're going to come out and they're going to have all these dreams, and they want to live. Everybody wants to live. And yeah, it's just beautiful. I guess the main lyric is that it says, "And all I wanted was a chance to learn to love and laugh and dance. Oh, but I was gone before I arrived, sent back to heaven on a starlight flight. Yeah, I was gonna change the world and I was gonna be a girl." So again, it just gets back to that like childlike heart of, I'm gonna change the world, I'm gonna be all these things. And sure, we grow up and
I was not an astronaut.
Yeah, might not all become astronauts, but
okay, we can do other things.
Yeah, but the beauty of those hopes and dreams of children, it just, I don't know, it just set my heart on fire for this cause, like again, and I just felt like, oh my gosh, like we have to protect these dreams. Yeah. These people that, want to live but aren't given a chance to.
Yeah.
So that's the song.
It's a really beautiful song. So I did finally listen to it after like the 5th person sent it to me. It was on my list. But I think a couple things that struck my heart with this was, number one, the fact that this song exists in mainstream music, I think is really important, because it shows that, like our values don't just belong like in the walls of our church, basically. That, our faith informs us, and our value, our commitment to life informs everything that we do, informs how we see every single person who we encounter, and not just like, okay, well, I'm pro-life, like here in the walls of my church or here in like my own home. But that our beliefs have a place in mainstream culture, and that culture is lifted up and becomes better because of them. So second thing though, that really inspired me and kind of like just pricked my heart, was at the end of the song, it's talking about the perspective again of the unborn baby. And he said, the unborn child is saying like, there will never be a man who, wait, what is it? Do you have the lyric?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
It says, "I'm more than just a one-night stand or some burden that you think I am, and there ain't no man who's ever gonna be what I was gonna be."
Yeah. And it's just, it really very pointedly speaks to how every human life is unique and unrepeatable. There's going to be people who will be astronauts. There's going to be people who will be teachers. And, you kind of fluctuate in and out of those jobs. There will never be another heart that's going to love like you were created to love, to serve the Lord. And, of all the billions and billions and billions of people who exist and who have existed and will exist, like every single human life from the moment of their conception is unique and unrepeatable. And that's why, we need to give that person a chance. We don't know that incredible value that the Lord has instilled in them. And who are we to snuff that out? Who are we to say like this life isn't worth continuing?
Yeah. And I think the lyric in the very beginning, it says, "If my mama could have just seen my face, then maybe she wouldn't have," "If my mama could have just seen my face, then maybe she would have had me anyway." And it reminded me of this thought I had recently, because my nephew has like the sweetest laugh. It's so cute. It makes us all just melt. And I just thought to myself, man, if we had somehow the technology for every woman who walked into an abortion clinic to hear the laughter of their baby, I know they would stop in their tracks and they would be like, no.
Yeah.
Because it is so pure, and they start laughing so early.
Yeah.
Like they start experiencing joy, and
that's an Inside Out.
Yes.
It's like first one there.
Yeah, and they bond with the parents immediately. Like, it's so special. That's another lyric in it, is talking about the first thing I was gonna do was take a breath or something and fall in love with you. And it gets to the, like I said, it's like that child heart, that childlike heart of dreaming, but also just the pureness of children. And we need that in our world. We need that in our world. I mean, we were talking about the debates. We need that childlike, heart to remind us, for us to be childlike in our faith.
Yep, definitely.
So
well, I have some good, wholesome comments from YouTube, which doesn't happen a lot. But
there's a lot of good comments in there.
Yeah. Okay. So, a lot of them were from parents saying, like, I'm the parent of a newborn. One guy says, actually, I'm a 54-year-old man with no kids who was always uncomfortable with abortion, but understood why women did it. But watching this video, like just tears flooding down my face, and recognizing that a parent's duty is to sacrifice everything for their kids, that video changed his mind. But the stakes get even higher later in the comments section. One person was saying, like, just commenting generally on the video, saying, I pray that this video will reach a lot of people and hopefully it'll reach women who are considering abortion and change their mind. And somebody responded to that comment and said, it already has. This week, our mobile clinic team showed this video to a young woman who had come to Planned Parenthood for an abortion. It helped her decide to choose life for her baby. Like, praise the Lord.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then another just kind of like sad comment, realizing the regret that people have after abortion. One man said, my ex-wife had an abortion without my knowledge, and it still breaks my heart till this day. I still wonder who they would have been. Now this child would have been 10 years old. And so again, just like really speaking to like what loss abortion brings, and the regret that you can have decades and decades after. But then, the hope that, like you were saying, like if every parent could hear the laughter of their child, like we're fortunate we can hear the heartbeat of the child, like that's already a big deal. That helps people change their minds. But, like we've been saying, it's so important to talk about your values, talk about the dignity of human life. Because since Rachel Holt decided to make this song, that helped this one woman choose life for her child. And now like that has had this ripple effect. And that's why pro-life values belong in our conversations, in our culture, everywhere.
Yeah. The comment about sacrifice is so good, because really abortion, it's saying the opposite. It's saying that the sacrifice should be on the child. The child should make the sacrifice, and for the parent to have a better life, not the parent's going to make a sacrifice for the child to have a better life. And gosh, when you just sit in that and think about that for a second, what toxicity that reeks on our culture, that we are just putting all of ourselves first and not the most young and innocent and hopeful among us. Like, it breaks my heart.
For real.
Great song.
Definitely. 5 stars. Go listen to it.
Okay. Go watch the video. It's a great song. But we want to drop some other important information here, and we'll come back and we still have to talk about EMTALA and Sound of Hope Possum Trot after this.
Great news. Texas Right to Life is celebrating our 50th birthday this year. This is half a century of victories that the Lord has given us. But God is not done yet. The battle for life is only increasing as the abortion industry is going underground to promote death and sell abortion. Join us in supporting Texas Right to Life's 50th birthday campaign and chip in with a gift today. Thank you for 50 years of saving lives. And friend, the best is yet to come.
Do you have a cell phone? Do you have pro-life values? Do you like saving money? Well, Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, and they've partnered with Texas Right to Life. So if you'll go to patriotmobile.com/Texas Right to Life or call 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT, and use the checkout code TRTL, they'll give you a free month of service. So make the switch today. Have your money support causes you believe in, and save and get a whole free month. Make the switch right now. What are you doing still watching this? Make the switch right now. Welcome back, friends. We have EMTALA to discuss again, and it always sounds like the latest and greatest pharmaceutical commercial, but it is not.
Mm-hmm.
It is the federal mandate that basically a hospital, an emergency room needs to stabilize you, take care of you.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay, I'm not crazy.
You're with it.
I got that one right. Trimesters is, first trimester is between a woman and her doctor, apparently.
Some
but
people say that.
is, sorry, debate nonsense. God, that was so bad. It was so bad. Okay, anyways, staying on track, not like Joe.
I feel
So
that.
the Supreme Court, we were hopeful on this ruling, and then things have not come out quite the way we were hoping for.
Yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. Really didn't anticipate the ruling that they came out with. I thought this was going to be like an easy win because it's very straightforward. Idaho on the
Seemed
question,
to be anyway.
right? On the question of if a woman is facing a medical emergency, Joe Biden was saying you have to, or hospitals have to be willing to do abortions. Otherwise, we're going to withhold your Medicaid funds. We beat Medicaid is what Joe Biden says.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so we got that.
We beat it to death.
Yep. So Joe Biden trying to hold Medicaid funds hostage unless hospitals perform abortions in life-threatening emergencies. Now, we've talked about it. This is not necessary because every pro-life state in the nation has exceptions for life of the mother, medical emergencies,
Mm-hmm.
and on the ground, it is not medically necessary to kill the child in order to save the mother's life. Directly and intentionally kill the child. What they'll usually do is an induction or a C-section or basically get the baby out is the goal there. Separate the mom and the child. Medically, they call that an abortion. Anything that does not result in the live birth of a child, they're just going to say that was an abortion. Totally morally different, but that's what they're saying.
In the same sense that, let's bring it back to a more common daily task. If I close Word, I aborted the task.
You did.
In computer terms, I aborted the task. I closed it because I was done. Pregnancy, when it ends because of a birth, well, technically, yes, it's aborted. No, we don't say that.
Right.
But technically, the process has been aborted.
Yes.
If Word crashes,
Different.
then the process was aborted. I'm not thrilled about it because my document is probably gone.
Yep.
So let's make this more daily relatable because our computers do things that happen.
Yep. Everyone's been in that situation.
If I act on it and just kill the process without closing or aborting, then I have killed the process. I have also aborted the process. I've killed the process. If you've ever done that with Task Manager because your computer's being weird.
Yep. Task with.
There's typically not a reason to do that, though.
Yeah.
We have a close button, and
Yes.
we let the process go through
Yes.
its natural steps.
Yes, exactly.
And similarly, the medical community will use the phrase spontaneous abortion instead of miscarriage. It's just another way it sounds
Medical.
confusing. Yeah, it's medical. It's confusing.
It's about numbing everybody to the word abortion.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where it started or who it started with, but it is confusing for sure.
Okay, so Joe Biden trying to
Yes.
force hospitals to do abortions. Definitely a gateway lawsuit was what he was trying to do is expand abortions beyond life-threatening emergencies.
Mhm.
So this should have been kind of like an open and shut case, but the deal is that the Idaho law and the circumstances had changed several times since the Supreme Court had intervened. And so we had kind of basically normally whenever you get a Supreme Court ruling, it's it was a 5-4 ruling or 6-3 or something like that. This one, it was technically a 6-3 loss, but practically it was 3-3-3. So the 3 liberal justices were Joe Biden is right. We should do abortions all the time anyways, so just don't worry. So
Let's take medical advice from a guy who doesn't know what trimesters are.
Yep.
Yep.
Then you have the three more conservative justices, Alito, Thomas, and Gorsuch. They voted that we should just go ahead and say that Idaho wins right now, and like, you know, give them the win. Say that you know, they already have the life-threatening emergency exception. They already EMTALA, the federal law, says that we need to treat both the pregnant mother and the unborn child and not like just discard one of those. And so they were like three on like, let's just say Idaho wins right now. The three in the middle, Roberts, Kavanaugh, and Barrett
The
were
new
saying,
kids on the block.
yeah, not Roberts, but yeah, 2 out of 3.
Newer.
They were like, hey, we need more information. The circumstances of this case has changed a couple times since we first got involved. So we're sending it back to the lower court to kind of hash this out, get more information, and then we could take it up again later. So it's kind of like a pause, kind of just like a weird middle ruling that we got. So the case isn't over, and it wasn't a loss, but it wasn't a win either. Right. So we're just kind of in a holding pattern, but really didn't expect that outcome. So I just wanted to let y'all know on that. We'll keep you updated on this podcast and on our website. So basically, weird middle ground, weird middle ruling that we didn't expect.
Yeah. Okay.
But just keep your eye out on that.
So more details to come later because it's kind of not decided.
Yeah, not really.
I thought we went to the Supreme Court for decisions.
We got to get more information.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well, okay. Happy note. We 2 weeks ago said we were going to go see the early screening of Sound of Hope, Possum Trot.
Mm-hmm.
I did such a thing. You did this too.
I did.
Okay. Would you like to go first or shall I?
I thought I was going to cry. I cried beforehand, but I didn't cry during.
Got it all out
Yeah.
ahead of time?
Yes.
Prepare yourself.
Yeah. What about you?
I cried a lot.
Oh,
Cried
wonderful.
a lot. It's dad life, right? Between dad life and being married to a teacher for a very long time. I don't want to say how many years. It makes me feel old. We have seen some kids in those situations.
Mm-hmm.
So it got a little close to home.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know, the movie is about Possum Trot, Texas, which is kind of north of here, north of the Houston area. And a little church decided to get involved in the foster care system and ended up 22 families adopted like 77 children out of the foster care system, forever altering the lives of those families, all parties involved, because the church is mandated to take care of widows and orphans.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something we need to do. The foster care system is a complicated mess. I do not have answers for this. It is a complicated mess. Is the government trying to make the best of a really awful situation? Nobody's taking kids. Well, kids aren't typically taken out of homes because things are going good.
Yeah.
So that's always a complicated mess anyway. And then you've got a kid who's traumatized in a rough situation. Yeah, the church should be involved there, not the government.
Right.
Like, I think the problem with the foster care system is the church has offloaded its duty to the government, and so it's broken.
Yeah.
There's 390 some odd thousand children in the foster care system, with over 100,000 of them available for adoption. There's 350,000 churches in America. Like, there's enough church congregants, families, to take care of the problem. But we're not doing that, and the world is watching.
Yeah.
This movie very much lays the issue at the feet of the church. I'm like, okay, you got to do something about this.
Yeah.
The children deserve families, not a system that will float them around for however long.
Yeah.
There are 6,000 children in Texas who are available for adoption from the foster care system right now.
Nice.
There are like 3,500 churches in the Houston area.
Yep.
there's enough churches in Houston to take care of this.
What was really inspiring about this movie, I think, like, you have the analogy a lot in scripture about, the light, that Christ is our light. And especially whenever you think of candles, how you share the light from one to another and another, and the entire room, the entire space gets brighter. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really what you see in the story of Possum Trot, is that it started with one woman, actually, who had lost her mom and was inspired by the Holy Spirit to adopt a child from foster care. And that kind of spark, it was in her husband's heart too, but he took a little bit longer to warm up to the idea. But once they accepted that light, once they said yes to God's call in their lives, then that kind of passed on the light to another family and to another and to another, until, again, 22 families adopted 77 kids. And this is not a spoiler, but because it's in like all the description and everything, until there were no more kids in the foster care system for adoption within 100 miles of Possum Trot. Like, they had done such a great job at, taking in, they made it a point. They said, we want the kids that are hard to take care of, the ones that nobody else wants. We want them. Like, we know that God loves them and we love them. And one of the lines that made me cry was like, you can't fix a child with religious guilt, but love can do that. Love can redeem that broken situation. And it was hard to do. You can see their struggle. Yeah. It wasn't just like, we adopted the child and boom, everything's perfect. Like, you see this struggle throughout the movie of like, this was a long process to accept that love, to like let it kind of melt those scars of the children's heart and of the parents' hearts too. Like, everybody kind of brings their problem, and they get real exposed whenever you bring more people into your life. And so, you get, it took a while for that love to kind of like actually like set in, and to feel the relief of being safe in that family. Yeah. So it definitely like showed that this is a process, and like the reality and the hardship of adoption and foster care, but that joy and sorrow, joy and suffering can exist at the same time.
Depending on which reports you look at, everybody wants to go adopt a baby, and well, yes, that is important. And when we're talking about crisis pregnancy situations, yes, that is a need. In the foster care system, the average age for the kids is like 6 or 7, 8, something like that, depending on which report you're looking at, which state. There are teenagers that age out of the system. That, okay, well, you're an adult now.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Good luck.
Go live your life. And there's a pretty good percentage of them that don't finish high school, that end up with some kind of substance abuse. About half of them will end up with some kind of substance abuse. The girls who end up going through the program aging out will probably be 70% of them are pregnant before 21.
Wow.
The stats aren't very good, and I thought kind of hit me today that adulthood is a full contact sport, but learning to be an adult is a spectator sport, and we have to learn by watching. That kids learn by watching, and when their example, they got yanked out of a home, their example was probably not so good.
Yeah.
And then they're getting thrown into adulthood not really knowing how to play this game.
Yeah.
Adulthood is hard, you guys. It's not super fun. There's bills and taxes and complicated life things.
Man.
And yeah, if you just get thrown into adulthood, it's rough.
Yeah.
And it's the church's job to be that example. You used the example of candles. I actually saw a quote this week. I don't know who said it or posted it or whatever, but it was like, no candle loses its fire lighting another candle.
The whole room gets brighter.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think kind of that was a fantastic analogy with your spectator sport, contact sport. Love it.
Adulthood is full contact, you guys.
That's some like divine wisdom through like dad humor, dad jokes. So well done. But I wanted something that kind of came to my heart in reflecting on the movie too, is that a lot of times you hear pro-choice people say like, well, if you're pro-life, how many kids are you adopting? How many kids are you fostering? And I want to address that premise actually from a statistical point, but actually more from the heart point. So statistically, women who are considering abortion, about 95% of them, if they, are denied abortion, then like they end up choosing to parent to their child instead of place their child for adoption. And by the time that they have their baby, and especially by the time like they like raise the child, like 5 years old or so, they all almost unanimously agree, like, I am so glad I did not abort. They're glad they're raising their children, and they end up, raising the child themselves. Very few, like what we consider of like abortion-minded situations, abortion-minded pregnancies, actually go from that to adoption. Some do. And so whenever we're talking about foster care, and especially like as pro-choice people say, like, how many kids are you fostering? It's not out of like a statistical problem or a logistical problem that we're trying to solve by adopting children from foster care or just adopting children in general. This is a heart issue. This is not like I'm just trying to solve this statistic problem. This is actually like these children were made to be loved. And even if they were born into a tough situation or they're raised in a tough situation when there's like 6, 7, or even teenagers, that they still are worthy of love. And so we want to make sure that as the body of Christ, we take care of the widow and the orphan. And it's not just like, oh, well, I'm trying to press the right button and have like the right transaction. It's like, no, actually, like we love these children, and it's not out of the practicality of like, well, if we're having fewer abortions, that means there's going to be more kids in foster care. Not necessarily.
That's true.
Yeah.
Not necessarily accurate.
Yeah.
We had the Convention for Life last weekend. Anyways. And we had a panel of pregnancy resource centers leadership. And I can't remember who said it. They were talking about the reaction to the changes in the laws in Texas, and one of the women said that a lot of their clients were relieved.
Yeah.
That now they could not be bullied into getting an abortion by the boyfriend or husband or whoever. They felt relieved that suddenly that option was removed from the table, and now they could just have their child and get some resources, and it seemed more like it was going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's not a take I've heard before.
Yeah.
That relief is what women are feeling now that abortion has been removed from the table. So
praise the Lord.
And it sounds like empowerment too. Like the woman is now empowered to make a decision and not have outside pressure.
Yeah.
And that can only happen if there's not,
this deadly option.
Yes.
Press the nuke.
Ooh, hot take, Bailey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Women's empowerment is actually not aborting children?
Listen, I have a lot to say about that actually.
Okay. Well,
fantastic.
Another episode.
That's what we're here for every day.
We're on a tangent, but the movie really highlights, and this is a true story. This happened. It highlights the change in a community when the church gets involved. When the church decides, you know what, we're going to put into practice what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
So churches put into practice what you've been talking about.
Definitely.
And I keep thinking, wow, that's personally going to affect me, isn't it? Yeah, probably is, because I know my wife.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's a conversation we've had many times in our marriage for years. It's not now, but we will.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely one of those things where I think the grace of it here was that these families followed that call of the Lord in their lives, and that might not look the same for everybody. Obviously, not everybody in this town ended up fostering, but what was a turning point in the movie was, instead of these families going from like operating in silos, basically, of like we're a family and we adopted a child, and we're a family and we adopted a child. And they're all trying to do it kind of by themselves as their own family.
Mm-hmm.
A great turning point was whenever the families learned to lean on each other, especially because this was a hard thing for them to do. Like
They all took on the hard cases.
Yeah. Whenever life hits you in the mouth, that was happening. And so they learned to lean on each other more and less, and just come together as a community. And so even if whatever your situation in life is, maybe not everybody is going to be called to foster or adopt, but the main lessons that I think that we can all take away from this movie is, one, be open to it. And number two is to have that community culture and to allow yourself to be inconvenienced by other people.
Mm-hmm.
Allow yourself to, ask others what they need and how you can help them in whatever way that might take shape.
Yeah, support of those families is a very important thing. I did not realize there was a church I used to be involved with that talked a lot about supporting those families, because you can't just get a babysitter.
Yeah.
Like when you have a foster child, you have to have somebody
Mm-hmm.
who's approved to
Right.
watch the child. So you can't just get a babysitter to go out for a night.
Yeah.
So in that church, we actually did a whole big training on here's the kind of stuff. If you want to support these families, here's how you can do that so they can still be a normal couple and help them be involved in this process. So it requires the full church participation. So
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I think y'all are forgetting on the Bible verse that says that we're supposed to be super comfortable in this life and,
Shoot.
just pursue whatever makes us happy.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Doesn't the Bible say that?
You check your
Follow your heart
translation.
and stuff.
Follow your heart.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's right
Isn't
there.
that what Jesus said?
It's right there
Shoot.
next to follow your heart.
No, it might be more take up your cross and follow me.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Shoot.
I was testing you.
Hey.
Yeah, it wasn't-
I passed
it wasn't
Bible
a follow your
school.
heart. It was a follow me. That was what Jesus said.
Ooh,
So,
good one. Good one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Get uncomfortable, people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Well,
it takes.
go see Sound of Hope, Possum Trot. It will inspire you and make you uncomfortable.
Bring tissues, though. I came prepared.
I need to see it, especially after this conversation. I'm
Yeah.
like, man.
It's out now. You can go
Yeah.
see it. So, oh my gosh, lots of things to cover, but we did it, you guys.
We done
Well, friends, if you're going to pursue life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, life being the top of the list, so let's protect it and take care of it and take care of those most vulnerable among us. So share, like, subscribe, talk to your friends, get involved, talk to your church, get involved. Thanks for watching, friends. Happy 4th of July, and we'll see you next time.
America.
America!